Hey there. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Unsecurity Podcast. This is episode 113.
Yeah.
The date is January 5th, 2021, I believe. Happy New Year. I'm your host, Evan Francine. Joining me, as usual, is my good friend and coworker, Mr. Brad Nye. Good morning, Brad.
Good morning, Evan. I'm jealous. It's sunny there. It's still dark and cold here.
Yeah, but you before the show, we were talking about kind of
You've had an eventful weekend.
I swear, man, sometimes this stuff just follows me around, this thing. Like nothing, you have a plan for a trip. This is how it's going to go. And it never goes that way. So eventually you just get to the point where I'm not planning anymore. I'm just going to go with the flow.
Yeah. You got to be able to kind of wing it.
Right. So for the listeners, I'm down here in Cancun, Mexico, writing a book again, getting started on the book that Brad and I are going to co-write together. We'll talk about that in this episode. Because I think it's going to be a really, really good book. I wouldn't, spend my time on something different, I think. So on the way down, though, to Mexico, so Saturday morning, we were flying down here, me, my wife, and my 16-year-old daughter. We get to the checkout counter, and my wife realizes she's lost her passport. Right? She also had dental surgery planned down here, a 6-day dental procedure, because down here in Mexico, it's the same quality.
Yep.
It's $5,600 for her procedure here, $35,000 in Minnesota.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right? So all that stuff happened, and I was telling Brad about the whole episode. I lost my cell phone in a taxi cab after I didn't tip the taxi driver because he was a jerk. So we got my phone back. That was an adventure, and then it looks like my wife might be able to get her passport yet today, which then brings her down here in enough time to get her procedure done. So at the end of the day, it might all work out. But man, what a shit show.
Not the relaxing start to your trip that you were hoping for.
No, man. And it's like 2021, you start out this year with, excuse me, with these great hopes. And then it's like the first week, we've already been through this. Are you kidding me? It's 2020 still going.
Yeah, I mean, you can't help but you just have to laugh about it. It's just crazy.
So anyway, in today's episode, we're going to talk about the book. We'll talk about what people can expect in that book. Like I said, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be really useful for people who still lead.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll do the audio version too for people who don't read, because it seems like that's a lost art or a losing art.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about the book, and then we'll spend another part of the show talking about our predictions for 2021. I'm a real positive guy, Brad, but I'm kind of Debbie Downer on security in 2021, man.
I'm with you. I always try to be pretty optimistic, and I mean, yeah, we'll see.
Right. So having said all that too, I am in Cancun. I'm at a Starbucks coffee shop. You can't go inside, so I'm sitting outside. So there might be a lot of background noise. I might drop internet. If I do, Brad, you can just keep talking. You're good at talking.
I'll just make stuff up about you.
Great. Yeah, I would. All right. So the book, man. We decided. Do you remember? I think it was maybe last year at this time, or maybe it was a little bit before that. I wanted to write a book with you. And the reason why I want to write a book with you is, one, I think it's a really cool experience. So getting you involved in that would be cool. I would love to see you get out there a little bit more, in terms of, you have so much value. I was telling Oscar this on Monday. You're a smart dude, man, and you've got really good security chops, and I want more people to know that because they benefit from it.
Oh, thank you.
Well, it's the truth, man. And so, us writing a book together just adds more credibility to the Brad and I name. But I also wanted to write a book about something that would that would really help people.
Mm-hmm.
And so last year we were going to write this book, Information Security for Normal People.
Right.
And then COVID happened and everything happened. So that book got put on hold. And so then latter part of this year, I was thinking, let's write a book, because I see another thing happening in our industry. I see a lot of people practicing information security that aren't good at it.
Yeah. And not that they don't want, they're doing it on purpose.
Right. No.
Just that they don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, and that it's on both sides of the fence. It's people that are hired and working for a company as an employee. And it's also these consultants. I think there's just a lot of, not great advice. Well, bad advice, I guess. So I figured let's write.
There's a lot of security around like blinky lights, not doing things the right way. Right.
Or there's a lot of people who know the fundamentals, but don't practice them.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing them and doing them are two totally different things. I could give two craps about what you know. What do you actually do?
Right.
There's a translation. There's a thing that has to happen between what you read in the book, the NIST CSF or CIS Top 20, and actually applying those things in a way that benefits the company or the organization. That's an art.
Right.
And I think a lot of people, struggle with it. And like you said, it's not because they're bad people. It comes with a lot of this stuff comes with experience and, trial and error, man.
Right. Well, and there's, like you said, it's an art to how do you do security and balance the business and their needs to function and implement something in a way that benefits the company and secures them at the same time. Like
exactly.
It's a balancing act.
It really is. And one of the things I see over and over and over again with information security is alignment with the organization's mission. What is the mission? What does the organization exist for?
Right.
Your job then is to align with that mission and provide value to the company or to the organization in achieving that mission with what you do, which is security stuff.
Right. Yeah. And so many times, I mean, how often do we see security being the no guy, right? Or the enemy, the employees see security and they're like, oh, it's just InfoSec guy.
Right. And this goes way beyond firewalls. We're talking about an organization is marching down this path. Your job is to march down that path. If you're not providing value, why are you here?
Right.
And so, and some people say, and actually I've gone a little bit different. I've always said a business is in business to make money. So if you're not helping them make money, you're counter.
Right.
I think it's even beyond that, because when you think about, it's the same thing we say at FRSecure. If you serve the mission, you will make money. If you serve the money, you won't make the mission.
Right.
And so then I started, a whole bunch of Simon Sinek stuff. If you've never, that dude speaks, that dude gets me, man.
Yeah, I agree.
So he was, Renee actually just sent me an article or a video from Simon Sinek this morning, actually, as I was, thinking about the book and things. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's.
Oh yeah. Yep. I saw it. Businesses do not exist to make money.
Yes. I was like, yes. Business is in business to serve a mission, a purpose. So what's the mission? What's the purpose? And I think we skip over that so often in information security where we don't know.
Right.
Why does business exist? So that I can, when I'm figuring out our security strategy, I'm not going to steal from or take away from that mission.
Right. Right.
Instead, I'm going to enable it.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to be the enemy of the business. And
no, we got enough enemies.
Right. So, yeah.
So this is going to be the vCISO Handbook, but I think, and it's written, I think certainly vCISOs will, you mean virtual chief information security officers will benefit from it, but it's also written for the business. If you're going to hire a vCISO, for God's sake, make sure they do these things.
Yeah. What should you be looking for?
Yeah, if they're not doing these things, if they're not providing this service to you, if they're not measurable, if you don't know exactly where you're at, where you're going, when you're going to get there, how much it's going to cost, if you don't know all these things, if you don't know what the vCISO is doing to align with your business, if there's a disconnect in any of those things, you're not doing it right.
Right. Yeah.
And so I keep dropping my mask, sorry. Because if people come by, I have to put it on. But so I think it benefits the business. It'll be a good business read. I'm not a technical jargon guy, so I'm not going to fill a bunch of.
No.
I'm going to go like, I don't know what you're saying.
Well, that doesn't fulfill the mission either, right?
Right.
If we write it in a way that people don't understand it, then what's the benefit of it?
Exactly. And I think the third audience, that it's for is other, just even employee, chief information security officers.
Or security professionals at any level.
Right. So I've been in a lot of, I know when we were earlier on in security, at FRSecure, people would hire me as their vCISO, and they would pay, $5,000, $10,000 a month. And honestly, I wasn't doing anything. I mean, I was doing some things, but nothing structural, nothing that I could communicate that was actually providing value. And so a couple of those customers, I would say, hey, look, why are you paying me?
Right.
Because I don't feel good about taking your money, feeling like I'm not driving,
right.
I'm not providing value. And they're still, I think they're all still customers today, 5-10 years later. But they said, well, we like just having you around when we need you. And I'm like, you don't have to pay for that.
Right.
You can call me anytime you want. I'm not going to charge you for calling me. If I'm actually going to do something, well then, yeah.
Right. Yeah. I've got a one that is kind of feels similar to that, in that they've got a really solid program and it's very low touch point and kind of like, am I providing value? But they say, yeah, absolutely. Okay. Let me know, how can I help you? What do you need me to do? Because honestly, they had some internal vulnerability issues, but they're scoring in them kind of that 720 range on the S2. I mean, once you get to that point, it's more upkeep and maintenance. It's not a lot of things that you can fundamentally change.
Right. Yeah, so, it's a lot of tweaking.
Yeah, working on things like trying to get a IR tabletop scheduled. Do some of those more mature things. Looking at, is an internal audit program something that you want to pursue? Because that's kind of that's it. And no, not really. Okay, well, we won't do that then.
Right. Yeah, I think I'm excited for the book because we're going to show people how to do it systematically, objectively, in a way that you can measure it. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, where you get the business involved in the risk decision-making process, as opposed to you just going it alone and feeling like you're out on an island. Justifying budget. Everybody struggles with budget. Well, that's because they don't understand what the hell they're buying.
Right.
If they understood what they were buying, you wouldn't have money. You wouldn't have a problem getting money for it.
Right. Well, and it goes back to the art of, really communication, right? How do you translate tech, our speak, into normal?
Right.
And I think that's probably one of the biggest areas that security professionals struggle in, that I've seen, is they don't relate, or they just don't know how to. Not that they can't, they don't know how to translate or relate to the business. Too often, I think security doesn't focus on understanding the business.
I'm on a call right now. Sorry. What's the question? I don't. I want coffee too, and the coffee place isn't open. So, sorry. Yeah, so the name of the book right now is the vCISO Handbook. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We've already talked a little bit about on the side. FRSecure has been doing this thing called the FACS system for a while. I think it's been really, really successful. It's one of those things that continues to mature.
Yep.
Right? There's no perfect system. So if you're looking for something perfect, you're just going to kill yourself because you're not going to find
it. We actually just rolled out kind of halfway through the year last year the next iteration of what this is going to look like, and those will start. We're going to start seeing those happen here. It starts, I guess, starting to roll out, but yeah, it's an ongoing. I like to always say it's like we give our consultants a framework, the tools, but how they use them is going to vary per customer, right? So it's like, hey, we're going to put you in the playground, and how you use the monkey bars as a slide, everybody could be using it just slightly differently, but they're all using the same framework, the same tools to get to that point, but just kind of being flexible with meeting the businesses where they're at.
Yeah, well, and it's that measurement too, right? Getting everybody on the same playground as opposed to
Right.
you got your playground. Can we translate between playgrounds? No, because they're different things.
Right.
But when you get people playing on the same playground, but then you give them the flexibility on the playground to be themselves, right? Every organization has their own nuance, their own things that they do. But can we create a construct, a playground that you can play in that lets you be you while this other person can still be them, and we can still translate together?
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the way we started it, man, and that's the way it's moving. And I think last week the FACS system was originally named FRSecure.
Advanced Construct for Trust.
Right. And see, that's what happens when you have a security person do marketing.
Right.
They come up with, dumb names, but nobody changed it. So, whatever. But we discussed last week, we are going to change it because I think if we want to help more people, even outside of the FRSecure ecosystem, we're going to have to make things available to others.
Yep.
There's lots and lots and lots and lots of business out there. I think, I'm guessing there's a few million companies that haven't even been touched.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
So we're going to rename it the Functional, Accurate, and Comprehensive Trust System.
Yeah, I think that's a good description. And when you see that, you understand exactly what it is right away.
Yep. It's functional, it's accurate because it does have measurement built in and throughout all of it. It's functional because it's the same guidance that applies for really everybody. It's almost like step by step.
Right. Yeah, it's the basics. We're not going to give you pie in the sky,
right?
Things. It's how can we implement this in a functional manner?
Right. Exactly. And comprehensive because one of our big beefs over the years is all the people who treat information security like it's an IT issue. It's not. It never will be. It's got integrations all over the place. Nowadays you can't even separate information security from personal safety.
Right.
So it's got to be comprehensive. It's got to be very broad. And trust. It's a system that's objective. It's hard to not trust something that's truly objective.
Right.
My interpretation doesn't really matter. Are you doing this or are you not? Black or white, a 1 or 0, true, false,
Right.
on or off. You know what I mean? That's just how it works. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, man. I'm excited. Are you excited for the book?
Oh yeah, very much so.
Yeah. So I should have some stuff to send to you, hopefully in the next day or two, just to get your thoughts. I've got an outline sort of built out. Yeah, it'll be fun.
I am looking forward to it, and I think we've talked about it, and we both have kind of some ideas, but we look at things so closely or similarly, I guess, but from slightly different angles, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be, I think it'll be good because, from the fundamental piece of it, we agree.
Exactly. Well, that's the beauty of logic and reason. If you use logic and reason, you end up in the same spot.
Yeah.
You may have started in different places, but, meaning that different perspective, but logic and reason lead you to the same conclusion almost always.
Mm-hmm.
Weird. So, yeah. And I think sadly, one of the things in the world today, it's not just information security, is a lot of people can't reason, or they choose not to reason.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a lot of lack of critical thinking.
Right. And they just kind of take their spoon-fed ideas and thoughts, and this is what we're going with. It's like, no, you're so much more beautiful than that. You've got more in there, I promise. Use it.
Yeah, I agree.
Good stuff, man. As far as catching up, how are you doing? How was your New Year's?
Good. Quiet was nice. Just kind of took some quiet time with, not like we could really go do anything. My wife and I had our 18th anniversary.
Happy anniversary. What date was that?
The 2nd, January 2nd.
Congratulations, man.
So yeah, we were talking about that. I think we've known each other 27 years. But we didn't start dating until, we met in high school, but didn't start dating until college.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, long time.
When was our last show?
Was
I at home?
Was that? Yeah, you were home. It was last Tuesday, 29th.
Okay. And I had already done the wedding thing with my son, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's done. Yeah, they're still married, so
that's a good start.
In 2 weeks, almost. No, they're doing great. It was a quiet week. Last week we didn't do anything for New Year's. I did stay up until midnight, but that's because I was playing a game on my phone, not because I was paying attention.
Yeah. Same.
My wife was in bed at 10:30.
That's about when Katie went to bed.
Yep. Oh man, we're getting old. Well, yeah. I'm 50 now, so that hurts.
Yeah. We've been working. We've got, luckily, we found, the IRs with the SolarWinds thing, for the most part, seem to be pretty benign. Found a couple of suspicious things that are like, well, we need to look into this, but nothing, no smoking guns or anything at this point. So that's good.
Yeah, it sounds like just that city out west.
Yeah.
Pretty good sized city that had a confirmed, there's some command and control traffic, right?
Yeah. I was going to whatever the domain. It was confirmed. I think we saw that in August, September.
Okay. And then there was, I was talking to Oscar yesterday. We have our check-in on Mondays, and he said, just a lot of threat hunting exercises. There was the one organization that left an IP any open to a database server.
It was I guess a misconfiguration, a change that went bad.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
An IP any? If somebody actually approved that without, yeah.
Yeah. Whoops.
But what was amazing to me was how quickly the attackers found it, how quickly they had gotten in, already executed. They already had full compromise.
Oh, yeah. And
within like 40 minutes.
And I think, it was like really fast from the time the change happened to when they got compromised.
Right. So you can assume, when you see that type of efficiency, that they already have a script set for when you find 1433 open or when you find whatever,
Do this.
that hit this, execute, get SA, blah, 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 blah. Because that was very efficient. 40 minutes means that's an expert. That's something that's automated. That's not
Yeah, that's not script kiddie.
No. But the good thing is that this company is, they know, they're smart. They had backup, they had all that stuff, and they were able to restore. Really, it sounds like no disruption to the business, really.
Yeah. I think I haven't been as up to date on that one, but it sounds like they were want to do things right. Like they realized it was an accident, it was a mistake. This wasn't negligence, or they didn't know. It was an honest mistake, as it were.
Yeah.
And they were doing things correctly. So that is always good to see.
So yeah, other than that, I'm down here in Cancun. Hopefully my wife will get down here, and hopefully I'll be able to concentrate and get my book writing done.
Yeah. And the other thing I did last week is I finished up the CMMC practitioner. So I got my official word yesterday that I'm certified for CMMC registered practitioner, and FRSecure is a RPO, so we can help companies prepare for CMMC certification.
Yeah, because you have to do one or the other. You can't do prepare and audit.
Right. Yeah. The one thing they said is if you're the C3 PAO, you can do a readiness assessment, but you cannot offer any consulting advice during it. It would simply be a pre-audit. And hey, here's our findings. And then that company nobody from them can assist with anything on remediation.
And see, we're much better built at helping people than we are at auditing people. So I think that fits perfectly with us.
Yeah. And, it was interesting, how they were saying, we will need to collect, 2 pieces of evidence. You have to have 2 or 3 types of evidence to satisfy it. There is no the plan of action milestones. It's pass fail. It's not like DFARS where you can say, yeah, we're deficient in these areas, but here's our plan. There is none of that. You better have it, and you have to have, I think the words they used were significant time, I think is how they said it. But basically you have to show that these things are ingrained in the company's culture and practice. So if they come into audit and you've got policies and procedures and evidence that's a month old, you're probably not going to pass.
Well, that's good. Let's take next week. You lead the show next week. Do you want to talk about CMMC? Give some good guidance, folks. Okay.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
It'll be a good show. Well, I'll learn a bunch because I didn't go through the CMMC stuff. I know what I've read, but I'm excited to learn some stuff.
I'll say this, it was good training. There was a lot of good things out of it that I got out of it, but oh man, is it dry. It was tough.
Yeah, I can imagine. That reminds me too. We've got a meeting this week for the 2021 CISP Mentor Program class.
Yeah.
They're planning for that on Friday.
Yeah. How did it get to be that time again already?
No, right? Well, and we have to do some. Do we need to update our training materials and stuff like that? And it'll be good. But yeah, I don't know how many people we had. I just had another request for endorsement come through yesterday.
Yeah, I think I've lost track in terms of how many people have asked for it.
It's been so cool, man. When you think about that, being able to affect that many lives, I love it. It's so cool. It's so core to our mission.
Yeah.
I still remember the first day, man. We had 6 students. I still remember. Actually, I talked to one of them. He sent me an email last week, Ryan Kalu. He was in that very first class.
That's cool. That's very cool.
All right. So, let's get to predictions, man. What 2021, I think a lot of people are like, we're looking forward to the new year. And I don't think they actually believed that everything was going to change magically overnight when
Right.
2021 came. Maybe there are some people who feel like that. But one of the things I heard a lot was, yeah, I'm so excited for 2021 to get 2020 over. It's like, it's not.
No, I think
Was
well, it's almost, I think, a mental health thing, right? Like we're starting over. It's not going to be good, but hopefully we get to start over fresh and start climbing out of all the crap we've had to deal with over the last year.
Right. And so what about, from the information security perspective, we had a lot of things happen in 2021. The year ended out on a sour note with, with the SolarWinds sunburst crap.
Yeah. I think you're just going to see more fallout from that. How many companies aren't going to do the right things out of it and get compromised because they're still, have this out there.
And I don't like to sensationalize things, but when you see this many organizations across the industry not doing the fundamentals, just relying on a program or series of programs to do the work that you should be doing, you're just not ready for that yet. Obviously you want to automate because there's efficiencies in automating, but if you're automating because you're lazy or automating because sometimes you're just not ready to use the technology. You don't know how to use it. You don't know what it does.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. If you're putting a blinky light in place, and don't take the time to configure it properly and harden it, then you're not really helping.
No, you're making it worse, man, because complexity is the enemy.
Right.
Right. The more shit you add to your environment, the harder it gets to secure it. There's you go. There's logic and reason again.
There you go.
It's not like, oh, really? Oh, you must be really smart. No, it's logic, reason. Yeah, I'm not a Debbie Downer, man, but 2021 is not going to be a good year for security. It's just it can't. We keep adding more and more blinky lights. We keep adding more and more stuff into people's homes. Keep adding more and more technology. We have this just insatiable lust for new features and new blinky lights and things, and the chicken's going to come home to roost.
Yeah. Well, we're already seeing, the IoT devices being used for DDoS attacks, and
Right.
The more you add, the more that are out there. It's not like they're hard to find.
Well, and it's hard. It's baffling to me how far behind we are from a legal and regulatory perspective on addressing any of these issues. Right? We don't have a federal data breach law. We don't have a federal privacy law. We don't have a federal breach notification law. We don't have a federal any kind of crap like that. The primary law that we use for prosecuting computer crimes is the Federal Computer Fraud Abuse Act.
Was that 2000
amended?
Yeah.
We just have a lot of work to do, and I think people are still struggling with. They don't see it physically.
It's hard to visualize.
Yeah, when you have somebody comes up to you with a gun, you're like, yeah, that's bad. When I choose a crappy password,
it's kind of this intangible concept that people don't. They don't understand kind of the security to begin with. It goes back to the communication. We haven't done a good job educating them.
Right.
And so they're like, I don't get it. What's the point? And then people talk over them and they tune out. It's kind of like that downward, it's a self-serving, feeding cycle.
Right. And so 2021 will be worse than 2020 because we still haven't, we haven't resonated with people. Because I wouldn't expect, like where I live, I was talking to you before the show, one of our U.S. representatives, Tom Emmers,
Mhm.
his office helped my wife get an appointment to get a new passport. And I'm so grateful for that. But when you think about our politicians, Tom Emmers or any other politician, the reason why they do what they do is to get reelected, not to actually help things. So if people aren't calling for, the constituents aren't calling for a new computer law,
Why would they do it?
right? Why? And so what is it going to take for people to cry out for action? It's either going to take education, which is what we've been dying for, because the other thing it's going to take is something catastrophic to happen where lots and lots of people get hurt or die.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll be like all up in arms. And now you'll see all kinds of legislation.
It's so reactive. We're not proactive, which is what we should be doing.
Right. And that's what we're fighting. I don't want to see people suffer, man. I hate that. But maybe that's what it's going to take, sadly.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, talking to Debbie Downer, one of my things that unfortunately I see happening is we're going to see more deaths from that we can directly correlate to security incidents, right? Being hacked or ransomed or whatever. I think we'll see more.
Yeah, I agree. I think 2021, we're going to see more of that. I don't know what the retaliation is going to be on the part of the United States, from the sunburst attack, but expect tit for tat.
Yeah.
Unless something actually
it's
diplomatically.
It's kind of like we had the Cold War, that mutually assured destruction, and this is a really big kind of, I would say, breach of that. Right? This is a huge escalation.
It really is, man. And so you're going to expect a retaliation by the United States, you would think, sometime in 2021. And if you don't, if nobody gets punished for this, then why wouldn't they just do it again? Why wouldn't they just do it more? Why wouldn't they just continue? There's no repercussion, right?
Yep.
So 2021, I think, we're going to see more of this on the global scale. The cyber war is going to escalate.
Yeah. And the sad part is, look at all the collateral damage of innocent businesses that we're not doing anything wrong. We're not, just we're using a tool that is a good thing to be using.
Right. Yeah, my mother, I told you, I think last show, my mom had called and said, what can I do? She had heard about this, and maybe it's because her son does this, for a living. So she called me and said, so what can I do about this? I'm like, practice your same good information security habits, and just be prepared for being collateral damage. Because you
unfortunately.
Yeah, so I think 2020, but I think we're going to see an escalation in the cyber war. We are going to see more people actually die, which just baffles me, because there's so many of these things we can do better.
Yeah.
Somebody's rolling by in a cart, so you're going to hear this in the background. And I think we're going to see, another thing that happened last year that was sort of not well covered, not well exposed, was, that potential of 427 hospitals being ransomed within a 1-week time frame. The potential for that very, very, very much exists.
Mm-hmm.
And sadly, I think our capabilities as a country to respond to cyber attacks of that nature are shit.
I mean, yeah, that many at once. Do we have, that's a lot of incidents to handle it all at once.
Right. And so we need much better. I'm hoping that this year on a positive side, I'm hoping this year we'll have better coordination among security organizations.
We got to work. Yeah. Well, and we've talked about this. We can't do this alone. We have to work together.
Yeah, FireEye can't do it by themselves. CISA, you see now one of my beefs with CISA. I think they're a great organization. I think their heart's in the right place. I think they're doing a lot of great things, but you cannot do everything.
Right.
You are going to need to let go of a lot of these things, provide some instruction and framework with how these things must be done in our industry, but don't try to do it.
Yeah. That's a
So
good point.
take incident response. One of the things I'd like to see from our country is you need to be certified. Your company and you need to be certified, and it can't be a money grab type certification.
Right.
It's got to be something that's affordable. You need to be certified to do incident response on all critical infrastructure, all 14 industries. So if you want to do incident response for a hospital, you need to meet these requirements. You better know how to do it. You better follow the rules. And one of those rules is information sharing.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of, we've been doing a lot of threat intel information sharing, but that you have to be a government entity, or you have to pay for a lot of that stuff. I'm talking like so that way, if a hospital in Florida is getting hit by ransomware and I'm in Minnesota working on a ransomware investigation, I can check this database real quick and say, oh, Florida's getting hit with the same damn thing right now.
Yeah.
Let's get in touch.
Yeah. Who's working on it? Let's communicate and see what we're both. Yeah. I think we did see that to some extent, and we have seen it with the SolarWinds, thing with where FireEye put out all their rules to find their tools and all, we've seen a lot of really good.
But thank God FireEye was the one that got hit. It wasn't Joe Blow's incident response
right.
shop.
But I think it's a start, right? You have to start somewhere. And,
and
I think it's a good model.
Yeah, I agree. But I think you have to have something formalized.
Yeah. If you don't have it goes back to the framework, right? If you don't have this fundamental framework in place, we're not going to get consistent data to use.
Right.
And if everybody's throwing, different information out in different formats, then how long does it take to, translate that and understand what they're saying? And so, like I said, I think what we're seeing with SolarWinds with some of this communication is a good start. I think, but I'm with you. We need to have something. It'd be great to have something centralized where, I'm working on the one IR and I found an executable in Windows Temp, and it's like, well, that looks that's a little shady. There's some weirdness going on here. And now trying to reverse this and try to figure out what it is, where did it come from, how did it get there? It'd be great if there was a central database, right? Because, we've all got these different tools, but I know somebody's.
Well, and you have to. So in order to be certified, so this is the idea. In order for you to be certified to work in critical infrastructure, you must share information regarding these things in this format, in this location, so it's all consumable by everybody else. Most of the IOCs, 90% of the IOCs we share don't have anything that identifies the victim or identifies.
Oh, no. It's file hashes, behavior.
Exactly. Because I've heard that excuse too from other incident response shops, like, well, we don't share that stuff because, that's confidential information. I'm like, bullshit. It's not confidential information.
Yeah, no.
Share the database. I'm asking you to share hash files of malware you found.
Right. The executable I found has nothing in it regarding who I'm working with.
Right.
Like there's no reason not to be able to go find this. And trust me, I've looked, and Oscar's looked, and there's not much out there. It's all it's a mess.
Right. Well, and so our team truly is, very highly skilled. FireEye's team is very highly skilled. There's lots of highly skilled teams. I think if we can put differences aside, come and agree on this framework, this information sharing framework. Outside of, I don't want really the government to handle it if I can help it, because they like to mess things up. It's political quick.
It's almost like a kind of like PCI for
yes
response.
Yes. Yes, 100%. And then when you've got somebody who doesn't have as highly of a skilled of team that we have, who's working on an incident response in another part of the country, but they've been certified, meaning they're going to follow the rules on how to do this, they can tap into the database and tap into your brain, tap into FireEye's brain, tap into Dell's brain, tap into, you know, all these brains, man, who've already done the research. How much time do you spend on tracking down IOCs?
Oh my God.
Right?
That's the majority of it.
Wouldn't it be great to already tap into somebody who's already done that work, save yourself a whole bunch of hours and work on remediation? That's the kind of thing that we're going to need if we get 427 hospitals getting hit at the same time.
Right. Well, I mean, reality, I spent 2 or 3 hours yesterday just trying to figure out what the hell this file does. Where did it come from? Like,
right.
You know, and of course it got dropped in May, and they don't have their event logs on that server go back, 2 weeks.
Right.
You know, and
chances are you're not the only one who's seen this file.
No. And, there's a lot of kind of like fragmented information, but nothing that, you're having to put this together and having to try to determine what the code is doing. And, it's a mess.
All right. So predictions so far are not good.
No. Yeah. I will say one good, here's a positive, because we do like to stay a little bit optimistic. I do think that we will start seeing a change in thinking from businesses as a fallout from the SolarWinds. We're already starting to see it a little bit with some of the IRs that come in and some of the questions we're getting from our customers in terms of being more proactive in understanding what's on the network and, the fundamentals. So I'm hopeful that we're going to start seeing that change in organizations that maybe hadn't taken security seriously.
Right. Yeah, I think so too. And I think one of the things that, and that's, ties in with our book too. I think one of the things that's missing in our industry is not the knowledge, it's the application of the knowledge. And I think maybe this year we focus a lot more on how do we actually do these things, measure these things, communicate these things in a unified manner, our industry working together, as opposed to, I don't like your thing. Why don't you like my thing? Well, because it's not my thing. Well, that's a shitty reason not to like my thing.
Right.
Why don't you work on my thing with me, or we can make it our thing?
I mean, well, and yes. I agree. I don't, there's so much ego.
Right.
And
this is what ticks me off, is like, what gives us the right to have any ego? We suck at this.
Right. Well, and what's the saying? If you think you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room or whatever. There's so many people that are like, well, because I'm whatever. And no, you can't know everything. You can't. Other people have great ideas that you can learn from and prove yourself.
Right.
Work together. I'm with you.
All right. So I've got, and if people want more formal predictions, get in touch with us. I do think the negative side, it's going to get worse before it's going to get better. The positive side, it is going to get better. You will see more movement on the federal side, I think, on a number of different things. And I do think you'll see better collaboration in our industry. FireEye did a great job. And they're not the first ones to do a great job in sharing information. But I point them out because I think they're probably the most recent that comes to mind.
Oh, and probably the biggest magnitude of impact.
Right. So, and chances are most of us, coronavirus will be hopefully well in hand, and we'll be past that sometime this year. That's got to be a huge mental relief for so many people. It's one less thing to distract you from other things that you should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very positive. I'm so looking forward to hanging out with friends again,
Yeah, amen to that.
So that's going to happen this year. And what's up? One more positive. I got to come up with one more positive.
I think, kind of selfishly, I think FRSecure, we're taking that next step. I think we got lucky, or not lucky, because it was, you make your own luck, I think, but we were well situated to handle the pandemic and the craziness. I think we had, from a sales perspective, December was our best December ever. And so I think we're going to continue growing, and it just goes back to the mission before money. When you do things the right way, it works out. So I think we're going to continue seeing that growth and that, upward trajectory as we continue to mature as an organization.
Yeah, I see that too. It's like a diving board. 2020 was like this part.
Yeah.
As we recover, it's gonna bing. It's gonna take off.
I'd say April through June, July was the low part.
Yeah.
And it started to bounce back.
That's when some of the toughest decisions were made. Yeah, but I think looking past that, to try to figure out what you're going to look like on the other side of it. The decisions I make today are going to they're going to affect the things that we do in December and January in 2021. So what things might we have to sacrifice now to benefit later? And the team just did such a great job, man.
Look, it's that looking forward, not being week to week, but quarter to quarter, month, year to year. And it's so cool to be part of growing this organization and doing that. So I think that's something I'm looking forward to.
Too. I totally am. All right, I've got 3 news articles. I shot them to you in email prior to us. Some of it is, whatever. But the first one is the Hacker News. The title is Microsoft says SolarWinds hackers accessed some of its source code.
Yeah, that'll be.
How do you get to Microsoft source code? That's got to be wow.
Yeah, I like how they said that viewing source code isn't tied to elevation of risk, and that they weren't able to tamper with the source code. But that just makes me nervous. Cisco, VMware, Intel, NVIDIA have found the Sunburst malware on their networks. It's going to get worse part.
Here's the quote. One of the quotes in this article: "We detected unusual activity with a small number of internal accounts, and upon review, we discovered one account had been used to view source code in a number of source code repositories." It's like, jeez, you're in deep, man, when you're in Microsoft's source code repository.
Yeah. I think I would hope that that's not an easy thing to get to, right? So. Yeah.
Well, and what it means to us, I'm sure, Microsoft will continue their investigation and we'll get some more patches and things. But, eventually you get to a point like you did with NT4 where you're just going to have to create a new operating system again.
Yeah.
Because the risk in knowing source code is exactly what the application is going to do when given these types of things, this type of input.
Right.
It's all very predictable. And so it's a very good intel piece for attackers.
It saves them a lot of work.
Right. And it gives them some pretty sweet ass bragging rights too. I told you that I stole a copy of Windows 95 from a Microsoft bulletin board server before it was released. Did I tell you about that story?
I don't think so.
Right. The statute of limitations is long past now, so I'm okay. But I thought it was so cool, man. I found it on a bulletin board server, which, I don't know, I didn't hack Microsoft or anything, but there was a copy of Windows 95 there, 26 floppies. Downloaded that thing. I don't know, 14.4. It's, 14,400 bits per second. And and I had Windows 95 running on my computer before any of my friends did. So I used that as, look at how cool I am.
That's funny.
That's what we used to do. Now we don't. Now nobody does that. It's all money, money, money.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the next one is HackRead, and the title of this one is "Backdoor Account Found in 100,000 plus vCISO Firewalls, VPN Gateways." And I picked this one because you do remember the model of the firewall that I was in changing the password on my own network, right? Last week.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's
That
crazy
was
is
a vCISO.
it's a hard-coded admin level account. No,
Right.
you shouldn't be hard coding that's
But I wonder if that was put there on purpose, because I know that CenturyLink likes to have that control. You know what I mean?
I,
So anyway,
I don't know. That's at least they did release a firmware patch.
right. Yeah, you kind of have to. I mean, if it was put there on purpose, you sort of have to release a patch when it becomes public. Here's the deal with software development: don't use backdoors.
But so it had the undocumented account. The password actually wasn't a bad password if you look at it, but it was stored in plain text.
Right. So who cares? Yeah. So, and for the listeners, I think last episode, or was it 2 episodes ago? No, it was. Look on our list of episodes, but we did a couple episodes of, one of them was changing passwords on your home router. Go do it if you haven't. But the router
patch. That's the other thing. That's the only way you're going to fix this one.
Yep, and patch. So go back to do what I said, log in, and you'll find an update, probably in the advanced whatever. Maybe we'll do a show on that one. I don't know. But that's, 100,000. I don't know how many vCISO firewalls are out there, vCISO things are out there. Probably a lot. But your basics would cover you from that. Just saying. After the patch. Pre-patch, kind of screwed.
Yep.
The last one is also from HackRead, and it's hacker selling 368 million users records stolen from 26 companies.
Yeah, Shiny Hunter. This isn't the first time we've heard of them.
Nope. Yeah, so Shiny Hunter did a dump on a forum. 21 data breaches of 21 of these websites are already known, and 7 of them are new ones. So we already knew about some of them. Some of them we didn't. So it sucks to find out about these things from somebody else, especially the attacker. Like, hey, just wanted you to know. Here's your shit.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is if you read in there, a couple of them, or there was one that was like, no, you weren't breached. Your data's there. Like,
right. So these things, in terms of, personal home users and things like that, this will start showing up in, your data breach report things in the next month or two. So, if you're not monitoring your accounts, there's so many free services, and most of them are pretty good to do that. LastPass, our password manager that we use, has that built in.
mm-hmm.
Security Studios S2Me will have that built in the next release too. So
I know Firefox as well. If you visit a site that's had a breach, it'll pop up a warning. Hey, this site, if you have an account here, or check here to see if you have an account that was compromised. So there's some good things out there.
Yeah. So I think, it's a lot of users, it's a lot of accounts. Do what you can to protect yourself. If your account is one of those accounts, go and change passwords. Ideally, you're doing business with companies that are storing hashes of your passwords, and you chose a strong enough password that you're not going to have, they're not going to easily find a collision and get your account. That's why we do things the way we do things that way. But, some of the people we do commerce with online, don't follow good security practices, don't hash passwords, or don't hash them
Right.
well. So it doesn't matter how strong your damn password is, they still got it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You can have a 30-character password if it's stored in plain text. Who cares?
Right? So it is important for us, even if you are choosing really strong passwords and you're confident in that, to still pay attention to these things.
100%.
All right. Well, that's what I got, man. You got anything else to add before we wrap this sucker up?
No, I'm just jealous of the blue sky behind you.
Well, hopefully I'll be able to enjoy it now that, all
A
my
bit of,
drama.
yeah, a little less stress to worry about.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you to all our listeners. Send us the things you got in there. Good for you.
Finally.
Yes.
It took an hour. Wait, the perseverance.
Yeah. What's that?
I did not open.
I don't know. I haven't gone in yet. I'm still on my call. Yeah. But I'm going to go there after this.
Have a nice day.
You have a nice day. Thank you. All right. So thank you to all our listeners. Send things to us by email at unsecurity@protonmail.com. If you like to do the social things, Brad's on Twitter. He's at Brad Nye. I'm also on Twitter. I'm at Evan Francine. Listen, you can follow our companies too. We do some cool stuff. Sometimes we announce something or something. So FRSecure is at FRSecure, and Security Studio is at Studio Security. That's it. Talk to you again next week.